Well, it is Christmas Eve. I hope you are having fun getting ready to celebrate the birth of the King. Well, today on Win the Day, we are going to talk about escaping the darkness. I hate blowing a fuse. And I mean a literal fuse, not a mental fuse. You see, I hate it because when I blow a fuse, I have to navigate the basement in the pitch black of night. And if you're like me, in an obstacle course of Legos, toys, and trip hazards, it's not safe. You see, navigating the darkness, it's dangerous. Too many Christians today, they try to navigate life in the dark. It's dangerous and frankly, it's unnecessary for a follower of Christ. But what do I mean by this? Listen to Jesus' words in John chapter 3, beginning in verse 14. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up, so that everyone who believes in him may have eternal life. For God loved the world in this way. He gave his one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Anyone who believes in him is not condemned, but anyone who does not believe is already condemned, because he has not believed in the name of the one and only Son of God. This is the judgment. The light has come into the world, and people loved darkness rather than the light, because their deeds were evil. Now, you may be thinking, what an odd passage for the weekend of Christmas. But friend, this is what Christmas is all about. Jesus came to rescue sinners from their sins. Jesus has been talking with Nicodemus about being born again. And then he uses a familiar story from the Old Testament to point to both Jesus being the source of eternal life and the necessity of being lifted up. You see, this was a foreshadowing of his crucifixion. So how is this eternal life made possible? Well, Jesus tells us in that familiar verse, John 3:16. For God loved the world in this way. He gave his one and only Son, that everyone who believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. The Bible describes people as enemies of God. We were God's creation, but sin has tarnished our souls and our desires. Here we are described as condemned. We are condemned sin criminals. But because God loved his creation, he took on flesh to rescue us. He did what we could never do. He offers us peace with God and eternal life. How? Is it based on what we do for God? No. Is it based on what we can do at church? Nope, not that. Is it what we can do through our charitable contributions to organizations? No. Jesus says, everyone who believes in Jesus. What does believe mean? Believe means to trust fully. It means to surrender your way, your sin, your desires, and instead trust Christ to be enough. Jesus said, the light has come into the world, and people love the darkness rather than the light because their deeds were evil. Friend, the darkness is dangerous, but where there is light, there is safety. That's where we find hope. So here's my challenge for you today. Choose to live in the light. If you've never believed in Jesus, I encourage you, do so today. Life in the dark is dangerous for your physical life, but it also means a death sentence for your soul. I encourage you, choose Jesus. Live in His light. Now, if you are a follower of Jesus, how have you tried to navigate life back in the darkness without the light of Christ? You see, we think we can sneak back into the darkness, but we're not going to get caught or we're not going to get hurt. It just doesn't work that way. Jesus Christ came so that we might have the light of life. It's my challenge for you tonight that you choose to live in the light. That is where freedom is found. That is where our real joy is.